until the old situation clarified and settled. And he said until the people, this is still our mission. So when everything and how it will be conducted to decide and to start the new phase of our operation.
You have a power under military law to arrest the Iroquois Confederacy are in the community of Oka, and they are being going to be made to allow those chiefs in to try and play a mediating role.
Well, I don't know, sir. I'm responsible. People or authority to come in, it's over my authority, and somebody else is looking probably after that. And I'm going to be given the authorization to let people in only by my superior from the military chain of command.
How would you describe the actions of your troops this morning and yesterday and the response of the warriors thus far?
Well, I guess I was very pleased with the action of everybody. Since we started this operation, we really wanted to conduct everything in a peaceful manner to come up to a peaceful resolution of this situation. Everybody, and we surely hope that they will continue that way and that we will...
At a press conference today, you've been watching footage of what's been going on in Oka today, and we'll be playing those pictures for you right after our newscast at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. After these messages, we'll have a newscast at the top of the hour. 7 weeks ago. Here is what it looks like right now at Oka. Sorry, we don't have those pictures for you. At the moment, the situation is relatively calm as soldiers work to consolidate their positions. But the standoff is not over. About 30 Mohawks, including armed warriors, are surrounded in one small area. And this morning, some of the warriors came out to the army lines to stand eyeball to eyeball with the soldiers.
Right. Make any comments, sir?
What? Can you tell us why you walked down to that barricade? What were you trying to tell them? What were you trying to say with that gesture?
I want to look at their face before I kill them.
So you don't want to...
You mean that you're going to stay here?
That's right.
You won't give up?
Nobody's giving up, no.
Nothing? What's your plan now?
I don't know, but if you don't get away from me, my plan is you're going to go too.
You're not willing to lay down your arms?
Not a chance.
How do you think you're going to get out of here then?
Probably won't.
Are you ready to die? Is that it? You expect the military to come in?
I don't know. I'm not God.
No, I don't, that's not the correct information, but he's saying all this can end peaceably when our people, the aftermath of what's going on both in Benawage and what will happen here. If he thinks we're just going to sit down our fucking guns, he's got another thought coming, all right?
As we mentioned earlier, the Army now controls the remaining Mohawk barricade at Oka, but they're checking it for possible booby traps before tearing it down. The commanding officer on the scene says any Mohawks who want to leave peacefully will be allowed to do so. But Lieutenant Colonel Pierre Daig did say no Mohawks carrying guns will be allowed to take them past the Army.
And we're doing the traffic control. We were not allowing anybody to come in or go out with armed and with weapons. So the way we're conducting our thing so far will carry on to be the same.
Daig says his troops have been told to remain in position and await further orders. Earlier today, we reached Canada's Defence Minister Bill McKnight at his home in Saskatoon. I asked him if everything at Oka is going according to the government's plan.
The objective of the government has been from the outset.
Okay.
The Army had their tactical plans.
Will their role be? We heard Lieutenant Colonel Daig say that they are primarily a peacekeeping force. Where do they go from here? Are we going to see the Army moving in from now on when there are blockades set up across the country, if in fact there are more blockades?
No, that's a totally inaccurate perception of what has taken. Provincial police forces and the Royal Canadian people are saying a lot of things in hindsight. What I think is, I am not a military commander. I'm a minister of the Crown. The military leadership of Canada.
Some Canadians were among the 4 dozen former Iraqi hostages who arrived at Washington's International Airport today. Artila Kani and her sister Swati were trapped in Kuwait when the invasion occurred. They say they were treated very well by their captors. The sisters from Toronto were among hundreds of foreigners released by Iraq. The Iraqi Airways plane was greeted by Iraq's ambassador to U.S., Mohammed Sadiq al-Mashat. He spoke of those left behind.
And the rest, women and children, we are doing our best in order to expedite their speedy departure. As far as the men are concerned, we are willing to let them go, providing the United States will give us a guarantee that they are not going to strike Iraq.
I'd like to say that the ambassador from Iraq is dead wrong. First of all, the people that I just left about 24 hours ago
Ground transportation.
are held against their will, without water, without food, and without electricity. And the ambassador says that they are free to go.
Lloyd Culbertson is a 76-year-old Canadian who spent the last 5.5 years teaching electronics to the Kuwaiti military. Like the other former detainees, he fears for the safety of 10,000 foreign men still trapped in Iraq and Kuwait. And there's word that more foreigners may be able to leave. Western diplomats say as many as 130 West European and American women and children have received permission to leave Iraq. They could fly out on an Air France plane later today. There does not appear to be any Canadians in this group. And the East German ambassador's time, a diplomat has been taken from Kuwait since the invasion. A Belgian official says the ambassador was picked up while trying to find food. Now, a French television crew has been told to leave after filming a refugee camp without permission. And notes have been posted on Baghdad hotels telling foreign correspondents to pack their bags. In South Africa, there's been more trouble in the black townships near Johannesburg. South African police say a gang of men killed 21 people at random. They say it's an effort to provoke more factional violence. Last month, fighting between blacks left more than 500 dead.
Women and
Sporting News have selected.
Parce que le monsieur avec la camionnette bleue est de retour. Une offre reçue. Encore.
Bonjour.
C'est le boss, ça?
Zéro.
Zéro, je suis deux neuf. Zéro, je suis deux neuf.
Okay, we have a few people that were injured. We'll let you know.
So they're coming in?
Huh?
Two bulldozers,
Yeah,
close everything. They might push the cars further ahead.
Yeah, no
but
problem.
then we'll settle in here.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
How are people injured?
correct?
Hi, can I speak to Arnold, please? Get away from me. Are you getting a picture? Yes. Yeah, hi, Arnold. Arnold. Arnold, are you there? Arnold. No, I want to... Get the tripod, Victor. Keep going.
Somebody give me fucking permission to slug that fucking guy. Get the gun down. You get your fucking gun down. Come on, you guys. You get back and stay back and fucking kick your ass. Feel good. Come on. 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 Fuck. Come on. Come on. Tell him to get his men out of here.
Yeah, and that guy stranded. Get this behind you.
Oh, come on! Shoot! Shoot, you fucker! Get him out of here! Come on! Shoot! Hey! Come on! Come on! Hey! Come on, then! Come on! Let's go!
No fuck. Women push the warriors back. Okay, the women are now between the warriors and the army. We're in the very center of the encampment. Okay, we have to know where Eric went. Sort of conversation going on over there on the north barricade. We're in the great center of the soccer. Okay, we're at the very center where this all started. Okay, and the army is here now. Okay, well, we're in behind this. The conversation going on over there now. You can do a lot once again. Tell me back. Okay, I'll tell you the path right now.
Nobody owns it.
Yous are not weak, man. Yous are strong suckers. So just listen up, okay?
We're going to get set down to bring it back.
Put yourself under, relax, don't, just be cool.
We're going to be trying to save our lives on tape.
Negotiation.
Maybe we can get up and get a bit of this negotiation. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can move up and get some of this negotiation. You pick up any sound. Do you intend to move straight through here, Major? Do you intend to move straight through here, Major? Get back. À droite. Restez calme, bougez pas, pointez pas l'arme.
Même chose, check les sangles. Okay?
Do you intend to move straight through here, Major? Now? Yes. No, I'm just expanding my perimeter. Okay? They want to, the Mohawks want to take care of their warriors, do a disengagement, so no fight will occur. My intent is not to fight. As soon as I'm able to move forward, I move forward. Are you moving right through to the barricades? There's a barricade down there? Yes, sir. I've taken 3 barricades now. Mais là, à terre, là. Barbelé, hérisson. Attention, sur votre flanc gauche. Il y a une section qui est partie, moi. OK, c'est fait, c'est fait. Restez calme. Restez calme. Military saying we're raising that gun to the fire. You got it? You can get up here. All the way up to the fucking
Once again, we're playing.
Only the suffering.
I think that's all we're going to see. I think they're going to stop here for a while.
Get in front of me.
Don't do it. Back off, asshole. Wait a minute. Huh? You wait a minute. Back off.
That fucking gang is supposed to be behind that line over there. That's supposed to be up here.
Me, I don't cheat. Speak with my chief.
Back off. We get him over here.
Don't move. Get your chief over there. Tell him you guys are supposed to be back there.
Back up! Back up!
Hey! Go put your gun down.
Put your gun down.
Put your gun down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. You guys are cool. Put your fucking gun down.
Motherfuckers. Hey, on parle pas à ces gars-là. C'est pas des vrais soldats, tout le monde assis, c'est des enfants.
You guys are supposed to stay behind that line, you said, right? What is doing over here? What the fuck you doing here, then? No part. Back there.
Hey. Look at his bottom lip. It's perfect size.
Probably, but it's gonna be fucking war. It's gonna be war, man. All natives will fucking wipe your ass. Oh, we were disciplined. Talk to your mom.
Hey, why don't you back these guys up where they belong, on the other side of that fucking wire?
I'm gonna move over. I'm gonna move over. I'm gonna move back. No, I'm gonna move in front of you. I got you.
Put your gun down, cocksucker.
I got. Hold on. Move back. I just want to get one shot. Get to the other side.
Come on!
Long road, eh? No time. You want to jump? You want to aim to shoot.
Okay.
Army magazine. Oh, you might make the cover.
First aid kit there. You need it, man. You want to use it? You need it.
Somebody getting a hold of their fucking CO, whatever the fuck he is.
Don't you?
You know? You know how to do that? It's hard to be disciplined, isn't it? It's hard to be a good boy.
Wow, do you sell around the world your magazine or what?
Canadian Archive.
White egg.
Send that guy. I hope not. That's not cool. You're in voice. Not scared, though, are you?
Get this clothing on right.
Not scared. Are you? There's no just fuck. You know what's happening. You don't know what's going on. Here, you know what's over here. Shit.
I'm gonna move this way.
Fuck the government, man.
Yeah, that's the integrity of the Canadian government.
No more fucking negotiations. They're only going to break agreements over and over and over. So this is what they're going to be doing from now on. How much do you think?
What did he do? He paid. Anxious? A bit nervous, perhaps? You think? You nervous? Should never use this stuff. In a second, a bullet fucking crawls up the fucking arm. You can hit here. A bullet crawls up the fucking up your leg bone and eviscerates you and that's it. You know that, right? They teach that in Army, right? You know that, they said about that, don't you? Do they shoot you in the Army too? Ready for that? Ready for that kind of shit? You're fighting for fucking gold. What? Yeah, can you pause?
No, I'm just going to say much use for
I don't understand.
Yeah, man. Are you guys going to get this out for Scott tonight?
Yep.
Walk right past it.
Well, be thankful.
Oh, fuck yeah. It's a good thing it's not like a...
Okay.
That was his statement. You should hold to it. Where is he? Got back too far. Get all your neighbors.
Faites-toi neuf, là, tu m'en dis. Viens à ton chien ici, là, tout le monde s'en fout aussi. C'est ma place des gens.
Yeah, but I'm standing 2 feet away.
Oh, well. Good luck in defending yourself with the camera. See your eyes watering. There's a couple big bites into you. Looking at you, your eyes are twitching.
Sling your gun! Sling your gun! Sling your gun, please. Hey, you deaf? Sling! Everybody else is doing it. You deaf? Sling your gun. Hey, did you tell this guy to sling his gun?
He's not deaf, he's dumb. On est position relax. Tout petit, mettez votre main à sling.
Oh!
About a shift.
Here's a past your barrier zone. They're marking the barrier zone. See it? Here's a past your barrier zone. The major just agreed upon it. Withdraw. Would you like the major to tell you?
So keep on moving up and moving up and moving up and moving up. I just want to
Get it over right away. What you said? Fini ça, strip.
It's been fun, huh? Oh, j'en ai.
Dim, man. Fucking dim. Stupid.
On va se remonter sur la deux. Ouais, lui,
Base de 2 rouleaux par là. On va commencer.
It's just making the territory bigger.
No, man. You lose it. Nope.
Yes. Oh, you are. You're
That's 120. That's extra on Yeah, I use that too. Hurting.
It's only for the funny file.
Cut away, eh?
Who are you? Who? What is in that boat? 4. Make it even. 4. 4. Make it even. Make 4 on the other end.
Les jeux, ça fait plus match la tête, c'est genre des petits. On va faire en ligne 4, il est là. On va faire en ligne 4, il faut au moins d'arbalète après.
Run to the rest of your boys. They shipped them out. Couldn't handle the stress.
They all had stomach sickness. They had to go home. Their mothers had to take care of them. Nervous stomach. 180 of these young fucking assholes had to go home. What?
Yesterday and today, and we'll be back with news right after this break. And this is CBC News World on the hour. The last blockade at Oka has come down. This afternoon, Army bulldozers began pulling apart the barricade which has blocked access to the Mohawk settlement of Kanehsatà. It's the symbolic end to a standoff that began more than 7 weeks ago, although some armed Mohawks are still refusing to surrender. The soldiers took down a Vietnam veterans flag, turned it over to the Mohawk warriors, then started the demolition. The soldiers, who had moved into the Mohawk area yesterday, advanced on the barricade this morning, but they didn't start tearing it down until it was inspected for booby traps and mines. The barricade was put up 6 months ago in a dispute over land claims. On July 11th, a provincial police officer was killed when police raided the barricade, trying to enforce a court injunction that ordered it removed. While the barricade is gone, some Mohawks remain. About 30, including armed warriors, are in the woods not far away, refusing to surrender. And the CBC reporter from the Journal, Eric Rankin, has been with this since yesterday, since the events started to explode there at Oka, and he joins us right now on the telephone. Eric?
Yes, Noel.
We heard reports that there was a press conference. Can you tell us about that? Can you tell us who held the press conference and what did they have to say?
Well, Claude Ryan, Quebec's education minister, showed up here about half an hour ago. Totally surprising people. Showed up at the military line where the major barricade used to be above the town of Oka. And he basically was there, he says, not to get involved in negotiations tonight, but to just shake the hands of the Army, of the armed forces, congratulating them on the job they've done so far. He did say, however, that he was more optimistic there might be a peaceful settlement here, saying that the arrival of the Oneida chief who arrived here a little earlier on and was escorted through the barricades, is a good sign, and that the people inside here, the Mohawk warriors, are a little more calm tonight. This is what he's heard anyhow, that the arrival of the chief has had a calming influence on them as they continue to try to negotiate some sort of an end to this.
Did he have any contact at all with that chief or any of the Mohawks?
He was refusing to respond to questions of that sort. He said, "I'm only here really to shake the hands of these individuals, these Army and Armed Forces officials." And then he dropped a bit of a bombshell by saying that he had been here, he has visited this site about 12 times during this standoff, and had...
You mean over the past 2 days?
No.
Since yesterday?
I think actually since the beginning of this, back in July 11th. And he was saying that he had been in here 12 times, and people just had not realized he was they were sneaking him in, and we're not quite sure how he was able to get in, but his aide was nodding in agreement that Claude Ryan had been in here about 12 times.
So what's his purpose in saying, well, I've been here 12 times, if he's not there on behalf of the government? What is he doing there?
Well, he is indicating that in previous negotiations with the Mohawks, he was involved, and that there was a lot of negotiating going on back and forth, and when he was being challenged by reporters on certain points, he was saying, you don't know the full story. You don't know the full story. The Quebec government has been negotiating hard. There's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. What are the Mohawks doing right now? Have you any idea?
Well, they have disappeared basically into the area that they still hold, the very small area around the Native Treatment Center. They have not been seen. There's a few of them guarding that entrance now. In the past few hours, they have brought in their own bulldozer. They have reinforced a dirt wall through there. They've dug some trenches. They're hunkering down for the night. Night is falling here right now. And there is an indication from the military, again, that they will not move tonight. It was the same guarantee they gave last night, and they did stick to it. But the Mohawks say they're not totally trusting the military tonight. They're not so sure the military will keep their word and not move.
Okay, Eric, thanks a lot for joining us.
Very welcome.
Canadian Native leaders are condemning the Army's actions. Some of them are predicting violence before it's all over. Phil Fontaine, the leader of the Manitoba Assembly of Chiefs, says the Army should not have been used to settle a political dispute. And the Lubicon Band in Alberta called on Prime Minister Mulroney to pull back the Army and get involved personally in negotiations with the Mohawks. Native singer Buffy St. Marie says the Army has assaulted the Mohawk people. She warns there could be bloodshed if the military doesn't back off. Dan David is a Native journalist who lives at Oka. A short while ago, I asked him about the support the Mohawks seem to be getting from Indian leaders across the country.
I knew that there were a lot of people out there who cared about what was going on here, but I didn't realize that they cared so much.
Ellen Gabriel is right now, because she was speaking with Dennis Trudeau earlier, and she mentioned seeing the Army go by, and she thought perhaps they were going into the woods. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, we just keep seeing them heading up. We're right smack in the middle of the reserve, and always do see more trucks, more APCs heading down all the time.
The community at Oka.
Well, right now it's just driving us nuts because we can't do anything. Our relatives, people from this community, some from outside, but they're all Mohawks, and we all feel for what...
Movement in Canada, looking at it perhaps more politically at this point, what do you see happening with that?
I think it's focused a lot of people about what's important and what's not. I think here the question was land, and it was also the survival of this. You know, you either are a nation or you aren't. You either govern yourselves or you don't. You don't get that kind of thing given to you, and I think...
Is that the only true Mohawks are the people that have stayed and stuck it out?
Well, I wouldn't be that harsh. A lot of people have families, they have children, and it's difficult. It's impossible to understand the kind of day after day, week after week. And, okay.
Thank you. For his invasion of Kuwait. He also calls Hussein a loser, hiding behind women's skirts. The latest target of pro-Iraqi demonstrations is the British embassy in Baghdad. Young Iraqis protested against Britain's policy in the Middle East.
Isolator rock. Ecuador sees profits from the Gulf crisis. Venezuela increases its oil output. Curacao hasn't felt the effects of the crisis yet. In Norway, peacemakers say no to hate. Yugoslavia's age-old synagogue, and Ethiopia celebrates an ancient religion.
And he said that he did not have a mandate, the Army did not have a mandate to secure an area or to safeguard civilians. Civilians were not within his mandate to non-combatants. And his mandate came from Premier Barassa, not from the Canadian government, so he couldn't do anything for us.
Feel trapped in the area that you are in. You don't want to go and face the Société de Quebec, and you feel that the Army is not going to provide you with the security that you need.
That's right. We are very trapped, and I appeal to Major Peltier in all humanity to, until these types of things are set up, we're in an interim situation. We need structures set up so that but he could not do anything at his level.
Linda, just before we go, could you give us an indication of the conditions? Is there lots of food and water and whatnot for the people that are in there? Or do you have medical supplies and whatnot?
We have adequate medical supplies. What we're trying to do is secure the passage of lawyers, a doctor, some psychologists, and other members of the clergy to to at least get some lawyers in before the EPSU arrives, so it makes a difference.
You sound very tired.
It's been a long day in the past while, and that parade of the end really demoralized a lot of people who had fought so long and so hard all summer just to maintain for all of us.
Linda, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Linda Simon is with the food bank in Oka.
And we'll continue to provide you with live updates of developments out of Oka, Quebec. Last Mohawk stronghold in Oka, Quebec early this morning. The Army took up positions near the building where an estimated 30 Mohawk warriors are holding out. A shot was fired, but no one was hurt. It's still not clear who fired the shot. The Mohawks say the Army admitted to them that a soldier fired a shot accidentally. But during an interview on News World earlier this morning, Army spokesman Captain Richard Saint-Louis said the Mohawk statement isn't true. Captain Saint-Louis said the Army made no such admission and that no soldier fired a shot. We have more on what happened this morning in this report from Stephen Langford.
After a peaceful night, Army commanders suddenly order their troops on alert early this morning.
Restez calme! Restez calme! Continuez à poser votre barbelé!
In the crunch, a native asks for permission to leave before any trouble begins.
In 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes? Okay, that's my landmark there, my wife and I. No problem, you'll be able to move out. Okay, thank you very much. No problem, sir. Okay.
As the Army continues to take control here, defiant shouting can be heard from inside the Mohawk area. This is the community detoxification center, where the few remaining natives are holed up. The Mohawks say they're being provoked by the Army, but they are fully prepared to defend themselves. Native leaders here say the situation is desperate.
We have come to Kanehsatà to examine this crisis situation, to provide spiritual support, and to work out options to this crisis. After initial discussions with the people of the Pines, we have asserted the situation. We have made a preliminary assessment that the citizen has been to defend the land and the women and the children of the Mohawk Nation. The people...
He says the Mohawks here want to talk, not fight.
This situation is getting worse. I mean, their men are antagonizing the situation every moment. And General Foster assured us that they were not going to do that. In the field, they constantly tell us that they're only consolidating their position, whatever that means. But it's clear that they're using every possible tactic to test the situation. There's no test. I mean, there's going to be one test too many, and then it's over. Which test that's going to be, I guess that's what they want.
But those who remain here say they will not give up their arms. Stephen Langford, CBC News, Oka.
In the Persian Gulf, Iraq has imposed a new condition for planes. Roger Hearing of the BBC reports.
Director of Information, Mr. Al-Hadithi, said only Iraqi Airways planes would now be allowed to transport the hostages, because Iraqi Airways was the national carrier. The restriction would last, he said, until the ban on Iraqi planes flying into foreign airports, imposed under United Nations sanctions, was lifted. Currently, the only destination open to Iraqi planes is the Jordanian capital, Amman, and there are 2 flights a day in that direction. Clearly, it would be a propaganda advantage to Iraq if Western airports were forced in this way to breach United Nations sanctions. Departures, this throws their plans into disarray, and there's no immediate prospect of further hostage flights. Roger Hearing, BBC, Baghdad.
Of the Confederacy, we have come to Kanehsatà to examine this crisis situation, to provide spiritual support, and to work out options to this crisis. After initial discussions with the people of the Pines, we have asserted the situation. We have made a preliminary assessment that the situation is desperate. Since day one, the position of the men has been to defend the land and the women and the children of the Mohawk Nation. The people at the Pines of Kanehsatà are not going to lay down their arms if the Canadian Army moves in. This has been a decision that has been made by both the men and the women. Last night, the Army issued an ultimatum to the people at the Pines to put down the weapons and to surrender. The Army now has said that they would move in at 8 a.m. this morning, and we see movement amongst the Army at this very moment. The governments of Canada and Quebec and the world must realize that the people here will not surrender unconditionally and that they are prepared to make their last stand for the land now. The Army has presently moved within a few hundred meters of the position that the people of the Pines are presently holding. The Army's mandate was to clear the barricades. They have now successfully completed that. The roads are clear. Now, more than ever, the government of Canada must get back to the negotiating table with the Six Nations Confederacy. While the negotiations are going on, it is urgent that a governmental intervention be initiated immediately to gain control of the Army's activities and to avoid imminent bloodshed. The area presently held by the people of the Pines is not essential to the military objectives. The people in the food bank are presently surrounded by the Sûreté du Quebec. We have been informed that the remaining people are to be arrested by the SQ this morning. Some people have already been arrested by the SQ. One of the military's objectives was to protect the people of Kanehsatà. The military allowing the SQ's activities to continue is a clear violation of their objectives. The Army has created an environment which they hope will trigger the all-out bloody assault they seek. During the last week, the military has intentionally and continuously provoked the people of the Pines. They advance their position daily, they taunt the men and insult the women. At night, they set off flares every 2 minutes, and their helicopters fly lower and lower every 15 minutes. All this ensures that the people cannot do the work that is necessary to reach a peaceful solution. A peaceful resolution will not be reached if the military continues to advance and disrupts any opportunity for the people to make decisions with a clear mind. Thank you. That's a statement for the time being.
Terry, can we ask you one question? Last week, the government was saying that the Confederacy left the negotiations in Dorval. That's not quite what you just said.
The Confederacy has never left the table.
What happened last week? You just...
The gentlemen who were present at that first round of negotiations had returned home. They advised the negotiating team to continue on with their work, and there were other delegates of the Confederacy in the area and continuously held a presence.
So there was no walkout by the Confederacy?
There was no walkout.
And why do you think the government made those statements?
It's a clear misunderstanding on the government, those levels of government about our process and our protocol. They continue to demand that we operate according to their principles of negotiation, which is clearly not an objective of the Six Nations Confederacy. We have responsibilities to uphold according to our traditions and customs, and for the demand that the government makes that we must operate within their realm of thinking is just unthinkable. We can't operate that way, and they should understand that.
Where are you from, sir?
I'm from the Oneida Nation.
Where's that? Sorry.
Currently living at the Oneida settlement near London, Ontario.
Did Joe Dion, was he allowed through? I thought Joe Dion was trying to come in with you yesterday.
No, he wasn't.
You were allowed through, he wasn't?
Right.
Any idea why?
We are representatives of the Confederacy. We are chiefs and spiritual leaders of the Confederacy. We have a spiritual leader with us, and we have 2 chiefs here.
Do you have contact with the Army right now, by telephone or any other means?
From our base in Dorval, we do have contact. We're clarifying the position and the movement of the Army to find out what exactly they're up to.
Are they issuing...
There was a meeting set for 8 o'clock this morning through General Foster's office and with Major Morrow. And he just called and denied knowing anything about the meeting and just constantly asked for the unconditional surrender. And the situation is desperate because they're not going to have an unconditional surrender. And we with him this morning to discuss other options, to give us time, one at least to find a political resolution to this situation. And he said he was going to a meeting, and he was going to, I hope anyway. But at this point, there is, we talked to General Foster's office, and then in the field here, and then the same message he had discussed, but we need to go to through the political route.
And who do you represent?
I'm a representative of the, yes, yeah. So that's, and with that, we know now that there is only a political resolution to this. There's no, the military resolution to it is just and it might not be a very long war, but that's what's going to happen.
What did you get to say to ultimatum?
And I says, well, Jesus, I says, this situation is getting worse. I mean, their men are antagonizing the situation every moment. And General Foster assured us that they were not going to do that. In the field, they constantly tell us that they're only consolidating their position, whatever that means. But it's clear that they're using every possible tactic to test the situation. There's no test. I mean, there's going to be one test too many, and then it's over. Which test that's going to be, I guess that's what they want to find out. And no communications on their side that have been won in the situation. The land situation, the international agreement, over the preconditions, even though the preconditions has been violated by, I want to talk about over the media. I don't want to stop the media. There's things that we can talk about at the table that can find a resolution to this.
Do you feel that your bargaining position is getting lesser, though, as the Army moves closer?
Yeah, it is. Because it's getting lesser because they're in a siege mentality. They don't see any alternative.
Are you afraid of some accidental gunshots starting a bug?
That's what's going to happen, yeah. And I hope all of you have cover, so you can at least report it, because it's getting close. And I think that's all we need to talk about this morning. You know.
You've been looking at unedited pictures of events leading up to the standoff that exists today on the Mohawk Reserve near Oka, Quebec. We'll be back with more coverage of this story after this.
To bring out to your attention and express our opinion on. The first one is that we're not sure anymore what the armed forces are trying to achieve. And I suspect everyone in this country are asking the same question. What we now have is armed warriors in one small part of the community in the treatment center. They are completely surrounded. They can't get out anyway at all. And as I was telling one of the military commanders, they're not dealing with groundhogs here, so they're not going to burrow their way out. The Army has continued to provoke a response, and we question why they do this. It seems to us like they're asking for a bloodbath, even at this late date. It seemed to us originally what the Army was being requested to do was to open the roads and to take down the barricades. If that was their mission, then they have completed their mission. So we now question seriously what the Army is trying to accomplish by continually squeezing the Mohawks into a smaller and smaller perimeter. Why are they insulting our women? Why are they trying to provoke a violent response from the warriors? They have kept people so much on edge there that it is impossible for any kind of peaceful intervention to succeed. It is impossible to talk to the warriors in a peaceful way. They have their mind diverted away from this. The warriors have no intention of surrendering to the SQ. We are releasing here today copies of affidavits that have been signed by people that have been brutalized by the SQ since the Army has been in the area. Some of the arrests and the beatings that took place started during the time when the negotiations were still underway. The warriors there and Native people in Quebec have no reason at all to believe that if the remaining warriors surrender or somehow get into the hands of the SQ, they will be treated humanely. So they have no intention of doing that. And we have supported all efforts to try and find an alternative. For over 2 days now, we have been trying to convince Canadian and Quebec authorities that there should be an alternative to the SQ policing Kanehsatà. The very first night that the Army moved in, and the warriors were isolated from parts of the community, over 80 SQ police patrolled for over 2 hours, back and forth, about a half-mile stretch. We weren't sure if this was supposed to be a victory parade, provocation, or what this was supposed to be. They have no sensitivity at all. And what is called for here is tremendous sensitivity. So we have been trying to find an alternative. One of the fears that our people had there, which we started talking about for quite some time now, and apparently at the beginning it was hard to believe by some quarters, that the SQ would brutalize and harass our people. One of the main concerns of the remaining people in Kanehsatà, the community people, is the SQ, what they're going to do. So it is extremely important that a buffer of some type be created between the people there and the SQ. One of the suggestions we have made is to bring in a peacekeeping force made up of Native people from other parts of Canada, peacekeeping that would, these people could be other police members from either the RCMP or special constables or Native peacekeeping forces from other communities. And there has to be some kind of longer-term solution here. And something has to happen very, very quick. But for the immediate, we could see a combination of the RCMP and native policemen from elsewhere playing a temporary role. We are strongly requesting and telling the Army that they now do nothing to provoke a response from the warriors. It wouldn't hurt also if the Army admitted that they're the ones that shot this morning. It was not a warrior. They know it was their shot. There are newspaper people both in the treatment center and around the armed forces. It's very clear the shot did not come from the Mohawk. And the Army, after having disciplined their officer for setting off a shot, should be honest enough to the Canadian public to say that it was an accident, instead of leaving the impression out there that it was Mohawk people that were once again trying to get a response. We have many reasons why we also are starting to disbelieve in the armed forces. They told us that they weren't going to patrol the river. And yet, we have statements from community people, Mohawk people that are still in the community, saying that the Army is out there where they said they wouldn't be. Last night, they said there was an 8 o'clock ultimatum. Yet they moved in earlier this morning. The other thing was they agreed to a meeting at 8 o'clock this morning with Oneida traditional leaders within their perimeter. And this morning they denied that they were even prepared to talk. The Army promised that they would serve as a peacekeeping force to protect everyone in the area. But the Army is not doing anything to protect the Mohawk people of Kanehsatà. In fact, the people there feel that the provocations that the Army on the front lines keep doing, shots in accident, smoke bombs in accident, and so forth, we're starting to disbelieve that even the armed forces can have as many accidents as they continue to tell us they have. They've told the Canadian people, they've told the world that they were coming in to be peaceful. They have intimidated our people. They have sworn at our people, whether it's men, women, or children. Our people are continually getting insults from the Army. And the armed forces have told the Canadian people and the Mohawks over and over that they wouldn't shoot first. Well, they shot first this morning. They should just admit it. Where are all these armaments that the armed forces said were in Kanehsatà? Where are all these, where's the evidence? Remember the videos that they showed us all across the country over and over, and News World finally had a clip that they could use over and over and over and over? Why doesn't the military show the hardware that they've discovered? They've had the whole area cordoned off, the perimeter is going to be getting smaller and smaller and smaller? Or are they saying that there's 400 machine guns in the treatment center? Where's the evidence to back up the statements that have been made? The Army allowed rowdy crowds to keep out representatives of the Federation, the International Federation of Human Rights. They allowed the three preconditions not to be fulfilled by letting crowds in the area keep out food. The same thing has happened with the Sûreté de Quebec. They have kept out peaceful people. Elijah Harper is at the perimeter right now trying to get in. I have told the Army that this man is one of the most peaceful people I know. He has gone from community to community across this country and has been speaking for nothing but peace. You should be allowed in. Oneida traditional chiefs and spiritual leaders have been kept out when the intention of these people were to talk to the warriors and to assist in a peaceful resolution. Even worse, what's happening now is that communication with the Premier of Quebec and communication with the Prime Minister virtually is non-existent. I don't know what one has to do in this country to get access to the Prime Minister. But I have not been able to get access to him. I really don't know what you have to do to get access to the Premier. I have not been able to get access to the Premier. We believe it is still time for a peaceful resolution. We still advocate a peaceful resolution, but you must understand the warriors are not going to lay down their arms and surrender to the SQ. They have no intention of doing that. We don't intend in encouraging them to go with the SQ. Under no circumstance are we going to suggest to them that they lay down their arms and surrender to the Quebec police.
First, the perimeter at Oka is closed. There will be no more military movements on the perimeter. I have given orders that no more movement will take place. Last night, there were bursts of automatic fire by the warriors at around 0200 hours. An attempt was made to land a boat inside the perimeter. The boat turned around and went back. We have a direct line to the warriors, and for the last 2 days, in a state of calm, we have been talking to a warrior by the name of Mad Jap. La solution est assez bien pour tout le monde. Je vais maintenant répondre aux questions. Premièrement, provide you with the details of military activity now underway and up to this point, an assessment of the situation. First, the perimeter at Oka is closed. there will be no more military movements on the perimeter. I have given orders that no more movement will take place. Last night, there were bursts of automatic fire by the warriors at around 0200 hours. An attempt was made to land a boat inside the perimeter. The boat turned around and went back. We have a direct line to the warriors, and for the last 2 days, in a state of calm, we have been talking to a warrior by the name of Mad Jap. This line leads directly to the Tactical Commander's headquarters, Brigadier General Roy. Using that line yesterday, they asked for a lawyer. We agreed, and Mr. Mark David entered the Oka area at about 1:30 yesterday afternoon. He was transported to the area by Army helicopter. Yesterday, the ritual chiefs, Terry Dockstetter, Bob Anton, and Bruce Elijah, asked to enter to help to peacefully resolve the situation. They went in at approximately 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The open line to the warriors is now being used by Terry Dockstetter, and it remains open, and we are talking. I will not jeopardize his efforts by discussing the subject of those calls. He has no deadline to meet. The government of Quebec has been informed of the present situation. I will meet with those responsible this afternoon for policing the affected areas and for maintaining law and order, to assist in devising an acceptable concept of policing for all concerned when the immediate crisis is ended. And I am aware of the sensitivities involved on both sides. And I am hoping by coming up with a policing effort acceptable to all, I can reduce the tension for the end of this crisis. I will now take questions in English first and then French.
General, yesterday there were Sûreté de Quebec officers in the crowd posing as journalists. Was the Army aware of that? They didn't allow them in? Should they have been there?
I personally asked that same question this morning, and in fact, I'm not aware of SQ, but there was a comment made that the JRC were posing as journalists. I have the assurance from the highest authority, the JRC, RCMP, there were none in posing as journalists. That's the latest I have.
There were Sûreté investigators, sir. I recognize 2 of them. Do they have permission of the Army, any police, to be in your perimeter?
I'm not aware of anybody posing as journalists, and I will follow that up as soon as I leave here.
What do you say? What do you say?
They have not got my permission, but I did not know about it till this time, and I'm assuming that you've got this right. Remember what I said. I have all the information that I can gather, and I'm finding it very difficult by watching television and listening to the radio to form any kind of a realistic picture of what's happening here. And by the incessant repetition of every movement and every comment and every spokesman that speaks, I find it difficult for the public to have any idea of what's actually happening here. And that's a personal observation. And I'm doing my best to keep that legitimate and to keep it down.
So what do you say about the concern throwing reporters out of this area then at that point?
I'm sorry?
Are you considering having reporters leave this immediately?
I'm not considering telling reporters to do anything. I'm making a personal observation. Do what you want about it.
So what do you say about the concerns of the Mohawks, the civilian Mohawks in particular, saying they've been seeing Sûreté de Quebec patrols going up and down past the community center? We saw them in here back near your Army patrols, and as you well know, this makes them very edgy. They're not too happy with the Sûreté who started it. Who had the initial raid?
As I said, I understand the sensitivities here, and it is part of the problem. I make no comment on what they're doing in terms of their duties because they are doing police duties. I'm meeting this afternoon with all those responsible.
Oka is being described by Quebec Mohawks as desperate. Soldiers have moved close to the Mohawks' last remaining position in an area known as the Pines. About 24 heavily armed Mohawk warriors are still holding out there and refusing to surrender. Some women and children are with them. The Mohawks said the Army told them to lay down their arms by 8 o'clock this morning, but the Army said no such ultimatum was issued. Then a shot was fired, adding to the confusion. The Army says several shots were fired by Mohawks during the night and that the Mohawks attempted to land a boat, but the Army says soldiers intervened and the attempt failed. The Mohawks deny shooting their weapons. More on today's events from the CBC's Stephen Langford.
After a peaceful night, Army commanders suddenly order their troops on alert early this morning.
Résistance! Résistance! Continuez à poser votre barbelé!
In the crunch, a native asks for permission to leave before any trouble begins.
In 10 to 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes? Okay, that's my van parked there, my wife and I.
No problem, you'll be able to move out.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem, sir.
Okay.
As the Army continues to take control here, defiance can be heard from inside the Mohawk area. This is the community detoxification center, where the few remaining natives are holed up. The Mohawks say they're being provoked by the Army, but they are fully prepared to defend themselves.
These do not understand what the word warrior means. It's the people, it's the under people, the people that are fighting for something that we have not lost. Rest assured, we have not lost, I said.
Native leaders here say the situation is desperate.
We have come to Kanehsatà to examine this crisis situation, to provide spiritual support, and to work out options to this crisis. After initial discussions with the people of the Pines, we have asserted the situation. We have made a preliminary assessment that the situation is desperate. Since day one, the position of the men has been to defend the land and the women and the children of the Mohawk Nation. The people at the Pines of Kanehsatà are not going to lay down their arms if the Canadian Army moves in.
Another chief says the Mohawks here want to talk, not fight.
Because this situation is getting worse. I mean, their men are antagonizing the situation every moment. And General Foster assured us that they were not going to do that. In the field, they constantly tell us that they're only consolidating their position, whatever that means. There's no test. I mean, there's going to be one test too many. And then it's over. Which test that's going to be, I guess that's what they want to find out.
But those who remain here say they will not give up their arms. Stephen Langford, CBC News, Oka.
And there was renewed drama near the Mercier Bridge south of Montreal today. This morning, Mohawk women and children erected what they called a peace barricade on the southern approach to the bridge. They said it was a protest against the Army's advance in Oka. The barricade has now been taken down, and the Army is promising to have the bridge open to traffic by tomorrow. The Army says talks are now going on with the Mohawks to resolve the situation. All soldiers have been given orders to stay put while negotiations continue.
I will meet with those responsible this afternoon for policing the affected areas and for maintaining law and order, to assist in devising an acceptable concept of policing for all concerned when the immediate crisis has ended. And I am aware of the sensitivities involved on both sides. And I am hoping by coming up with a policing effort acceptable to all, I can reduce the tensions for the end of this crisis.
One Indian leader wants a buffer zone at Kanehsatà to separate the Mohawks and the Quebec police. George Erasmus charged that some Mohawks who surrendered have been beaten by the police. He called for a force of peacekeepers.
One of the suggestions we have made is to bring in a peacekeeping force made up of Native people from other parts of Canada. Peacekeeping that would, these people could be other police members from either the RCMP or special constables or Native peacekeeping forces from other communities.
In the Persian Gulf, thousands of foreigners remain trapped in Iraq in spite of promises from Baghdad that many of them would be allowed to leave. A number of countries, including Canada, have planes standing by outside Iraq to bring their people home. The French government is accusing Iraq of deliberately reneging on its promise to let foreign women and children go. Several hundred foreigners were allowed to leave over the weekend, but the doors are closing once again.
Conducting their ceremonies, they're having their meetings, and they're staying pretty disciplined, trying to stay pretty calm given the circumstances.
Is this a warrior fight now, or is this something that all the Mohawks at Kanehsatà are involved in?
That's a good question. I don't know what's going to happen when the shooting starts and when people start dying. Those are our people down there. Those are people from this community. I got relatives down there. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think a lot of the people here know what they're going to do.
Is there a feeling of betrayal here now?
Oh, yeah, betrayal against the Canadian government, the Quebec government, the Army, the SQ. Everywhere you turn, it seems like meetings are set up, negotiations are set, and yet the Army just keeps moving forward. The SQ just keep on coming in.
What about a possible solution? Is there any insight? Is anyone speaking of a more moderate approach here?
Well, that's what the Confederacy is talking about. They're trying to find a way. So far, the sticking point is what's going to happen to those men. They refuse to let down their arms and spend the rest of their lives on the run or in jail. They just don't see any good in that at all. They don't know what's going to happen to them if they're turned over to the Sûreté de Quebec, the SQ. They don't think that their lives will be worth anything if that happens.
If this is ended in a peaceful way, or if it's ended in a violent way, is this the beginning of more, or is this the end of a stand that just didn't work?
That's a good question. That's a $64,000 question right now. A lot of people right across Canada and Indian communities, Métis communities, they don't know. It's not just this community. The Army can move in here and stamp out whatever happened here. But the things that they were talking about, I don't think they can stop.
All right, Dan, thanks a lot.
Is off tonight. The 55-day-old siege by Mohawks in Quebec now reduced to a tiny corner of the Oka Reserve, where the Army has penned in a group of defiant warriors. Soldiers surround the treatment center, where 24 Mohawks and perhaps some women and children have barricaded themselves in for a last stand. The military now is in a holding position, hoping negotiation will resolve the standoff. We'll begin our coverage with Herb Luff on the tensest night in Oka since the crisis began.
The Army during the night, 2 to 3 dozen shots were fired off by the Mohawks, none by soldiers, who began closing their perimeter around the besieged warriors about 7:30 this morning. Shortly after, one gunshot went off, and both sides scrambled into bunkers. The warriors insist the Army fired the shot. The Army just as adamantly says it was not one of their soldiers, but created a very tense situation.
More than 400 men were committed in closing in and tightening in this perimeter. We have guys nervous on both sides. It's just a matter that nobody was hurt. Yes, a shot was fired.
Major Tremblay says his men now have 20 to 40 warriors and a number of women and children hemmed in on 3 sides of a small 800 by 300 meter area with the defenders' backs to a cliff over the Lake of Two Mountains. During this morning's operation, a dozer-equipped armored personnel carrier also ripped through the last mounds of that barricade set up 6 months ago by the Mohawks in their original fight for the disputed land. Towering pines that had been cut down across Highway 344 were then cleared away. Journalists forced back away from the action. Razor wire fences set up on both sides. Some warriors appeared periodically to stare at the soldiers, while other warriors dig into their trenches. Brief informal talks were held face-to-face. The Army says hotline phone negotiations have been underway to work out a peaceful surrender. However, the warriors insist they will never give up their guns, so the standoff continues. The spirits are high. Spirits are very high. Is there any dissension at all about whether they should give up or not?
Oh, no.
They want to dig in.
Well, let's say they believe what they're doing is right, and I guess it'll take them quite a while. It'll take some convincing to make them think otherwise.
The perimeter at Oka is closed. There will be no more military movements on the perimeter. I have given orders that no more movement will take place.
Canadian Armed Forces Commander General Kent Foster says the Army has accomplished what it was requested to do, dismantle the barricades and secure the area. but he appears to have turned from military maneuvers to diplomatic moves to bring a peaceful end to the standoff. The venue is a hotline to the warriors, who are being helped in this regard by ritual chiefs, among them Terry Dockstetter.
The open line to the warriors is now being used by Terry Dockstetter, and it remains open, and we are talking. I will not jeopardize his efforts by discussing the subject of those calls. He has no deadline to meet.
General Foster said he intended to meet this afternoon with provincial and federal officials to find a way of dealing with the issues of amnesty, weapons, and the Mohawks' mistrust of Quebec police.
To assist in devising an acceptable concept of policing for all concerned when the immediate crisis has ended. And I am aware of the sensitivities involved on both sides. And I am hoping by coming up with a policing effort acceptable to all, I can reduce the tensions for the end of this crisis.
Neither the Quebec police nor RCMP are allowed into the Army's perimeter until the armed forces pull out. Foster responded to a report last night on Pulse News, which identified plainclothes QPF investigators posing as journalists.
They have not got my permission, but I did not know about it till this time, and I'm assuming that you've got this right.
The armed forces, according to General Foster, are getting along well with the Mohawks of Kahnawake.
We have talked. We have made arrangements. They have kept their word. I have kept mine. In my opinion, that will continue. I have their word that they are going to continue to let us patrol, keep the routes open, and I expect the bridge to be open, I hope, tomorrow. I expect them to keep their word, as they expect me to keep mine.
Manitoba Native leader Elijah Harper and several other natives are offering to help negotiate at Oka, but are stopped at a Quebec police roadblock. Harper is the member of the Manitoba legislature, you'll recall, who blocked the Meech Lake Accord.
Emphasizing the fact the government has to talk with us. If not, it would worsen the situation, and there's tense feelings, and the Army's there, and it doesn't make any matters any better. And I hope the government will sit down with people and talk and resolve this peacefully and at the political table.
That was echoed by the head of the Assembly of First Nations, who says it is time for a political settlement to Oka, that Mohawks will not lay down their arms and surrender. George Erasmus said this afternoon Mohawks do not trust the Quebec Provincial Police, and so they want to negotiate another force being brought in to handle the situation. Erasmus stop its activity and let the politicians get involved.
What has to happen is Mulrooney must come out of hiding. Barassa must come out of hiding. Let's go to the table. I am prepared to meet those two men and to begin seriously talking about a political solution.
Boiling over at several places in Canada tonight. Peacefully, there have been protests on Parliament Hill, on Highway 401 near Belleville, and at the Fort Erie Bridge at Niagara Falls. At Akwesasne near Cornwall, where Mohawk violence flared earlier this summer, it has been a difficult day for Mohawks and police. Newsline's Terry Marcotte is there tonight. We have him on the phone. Terry, what's the picture?
Right now, Max, the tail end of a standoff that lasted about an hour right in the village of St. Regis on Akwesasne. There was a standoff between warrior supporters, about 75 people, who confronted the QPF on the reserve. 2 cars were overturned, 2 police vehicles were overturned. There was some rock throwing. Police came out in riot gear a short time later, and many of the protesters have since left, although the standoff continues with a few people on the reserve staring down each other right now.
There'd been a peaceful protest earlier today, I understand.
There was a peaceful protest at the International Bridge at Cornwall, backing up traffic right now. The spillover continuing right now. About an hour the bridge was closed as the supporters for the Warriors marched down to the foot and on the American side of the bridge, put up a Warrior flag, and that ended peacefully. Then many of the protesters went down into the Canadian section of the reserve, where the standoff started with the QPF, the 2 vehicles overturned, the rocks being thrown. Apparently no guns seen, although some people on the reserve say they have heard gunshots being fired throughout the day, not from that area. there were no injuries in this standoff that's still going on right now.
Terry, for the benefit of our viewers who may not know, because Oka has dominated the headlines over the past 55 days, after the difficulties and the violence on Akwesasne, the reservation has still maintained a police component over the summer.
A very strong police component. There were 2 murders, if you remember, Max, early May, and ever since then there have been several hundred police officers maintaining a presence here. Quite often they're driving around the reserve just to let people know they're here, to try to maintain a sense of peace. It's still very tense here, unlike what we're seeing at Oka here. A lot of the friction between 2 factions within the community, 2 factions within the Mohawk community. The police have been here, but there is a lot of resentment. We're seeing that resentment in other places. The resentment is spilling over here, a show of support for the warriors at Oka.
Okay, thank you, Terry.
Okay, Max.
Full view of television cameras. The pictures were at times brutal, the language certainly was, and it evoked many emotions for Canadians. We asked people in Ottawa's Byward Market today what were their feelings as they watched.
I think it's pretty tragic when you have to...
A lot sooner, because they've been just dragging it on, and whoever's in charge, Brett or something, he's being really chicken about it.
I still don't think the Army should ever go in. Everyone has the rights to demonstration. Everyone has the rights to believe what they believe.
They took the flag down, and they took the time to fold the flag and hand it over. That was something I figure was very intelligently done, you know.
They don't have to wait so long for stupid things like this. They should do it a couple of days after they start, like the first time they shot the people there, they should do it right away. Don't wait for nothing. I mean, it's only waste time, though, and waste money.
But my personal feelings are, I think the Army should do what they have to do. I don't really believe this is quite right, what the Indians are doing.
I mean, maybe they went too far, but still, they had the rights. And when the police went in, the police did a little bit too much there. They went in too fast. They should have took more time to understand. That's my point of view.
Arriving to a tumultuous welcome. Kelly Crow, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Steve.
Take it away, Kelly.
Yes, here he comes. Premier Bob Ray. A name that's got to sound unfamiliar even to this man. This crowd is going crazy. I've been watching Bob Ray for the last 6 weeks, and from the look on his face, he's very concerned. You can see him moving.
Steve. And it's not only in this riding, John, it's in almost all the ridings across the province. The Liberals started this evening with 94 seats. It's been a devastating night for the Liberal Party of Ontario, and they've lost a lot of cabinet ministers. Lynn Whittam, let me bring...
5:45 this morning, the Army clears its roadblocks 15 minutes ahead of schedule, but not a second too soon for these people. For the first time in almost 2 months, people on the South Shore can drive through the Kanehsatà Reserve and cross the Mercier Bridge to Montreal.
The waters are still troubled, but the bridge is finally open after 8 weeks.
By dawn, a steady stream of cars, soldiers stationed everywhere, on the bridge, on the roads leading to it.
What if they joined the Army and never thought they'd spend the rest of their life sitting beside a highway watching commuters go to work?
For the past 2 months, the people in this carpool spent 2 hours going to work, 2 hours coming back. Now that they can use the bridge, it's back to a half hour each way.
For a while, I wasn't sure if we'd ever see it again. The way it was going, it just didn't seem like anybody cared. You know, we were there month after month or week after week, and it just didn't seem to get any better.
The Army and the Mohawks worked out a plan to secure the area. The native police force, the peacekeepers, patrols the reserve. The Sûreté du Québec patrols outside. Some Chateauguay residents say that's not secure enough. It worries me, he says. I don't trust the Indians. It'll happen all over again. The Army says that's unlikely, but it's prepared anyway.
We have enough elements there to very quickly react and readjust the situation. We have with us members of the community. We have peacekeepers that are working along with us, and I'm pretty confident that we should be able to intervene rapidly and settle whatever arises.
But the Army won't be able to settle the bad feelings in Chateauguay, where many frustrated people joined violent protests against the Mohawks.
I think it's going to take a long time before people are going to forget. Maybe when the Indians are going to come in Chateauguay, maybe they beat some trouble, I don't know.
So even though the Mercier Bridge is open, it's not over yet. There are still many bridges to be built between the people of Chateauguay and their neighbors at Kanehsatà. Lynn Hertzeg, CBC News, La Salle.
No rejoicing at Kanehsatà today. Natives there say they have nothing to show for their efforts, and they're tired of having the army around. That led to more trouble today. John Curtin with the story.
This Mohawk is bleeding because a soldier used some karate on him. The army says the soldier was punched in the face when he tried to stop the man from crossing the CP bridge. A Mohawk eyewitness has a slightly different version of the story.
At one time, there was 3 soldiers holding one Indian and one guy kicking him right in the private parts. And his superiors were yelling at him to stop.
Come on, fellas. Come on.
The incident caused a lot of bad feelings this afternoon. Some of it was taken out on our cameraman. Many people at Kanehsatà are upset the army is still around, still patrolling in the reserve. Now the bridge is open.
We've done what we felt was the right thing to do in order so that there would be no bloodshed, no loss of lives. And yet, where did it get us? It didn't get us anywhere. Of course, we've been stabbed in the back by the armed forces, by the government. We've been double-crossed by everybody, and here we sit now. Oh, it's fine. Oh, look, the bridge is open. Grand opening.
There are at least 300 soldiers at Kanehsatà, more than 50 armored personnel carriers. The Army doesn't know when it'll leave.
That's a difficult one to say. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask my commander for that one.
Not everyone is complaining about the soldiers, but few want to see them for much longer.
They're pretty easy to get along with. They're understanding. You know, if you don't talk rough to them.
I think they should tone it down and phase themselves out within the next couple of days.
The Army says it's trying to be as discreet as possible, but it also says its soldiers won't pull out until the Mercier Bridge and all highways in and out of the reserve are completely safe. John Curtin, CBC News, Kanehsatà.
Radio-Canada is reporting tonight that the Bourassa cabinet was advised in June 1989 that trouble was brewing in Oka Crisis. Raymond Savoie, who was Indian Affairs Minister at the time, says cabinet was advised that sending the SQ to Oka would precipitate a crisis. Savoie says he suggested lands be purchased for the natives and that an autonomous police force be installed before the Band Council, quote, lost control to the militant warrior society. Observing the Mohawk have been moved out of observing range. Stephen Langford has more.
Something happened in the early hours of this morning that seemed to reflect how irritable this standoff has become, all the while remaining remote. The Army trained bright lights on the Mohawks. The natives struck back by shining a mirror in their eyes. So when no one was looking, a soldier crossed the line and grabbed the mirror away. The Mohawks complained. But for the umpteenth time in this standoff, there was hostility, but no real trouble. And so it went all day. Push never really came to shove.
Go for it. But you can't come in there. Let's go for it. So fucking tough. That gun now, we'll go for it and run to the left. I'll kick the piss out of you, boy. I'll show you what a man is like. Come on.
But the military has had enough of playing out its waiting game with the Mohawks' last stand as the nosy media tell on every move. At midday, the Army announced that for security reasons, reporters and cameras were to be moved way back where they could not see. But not before one last mini confrontation, when a Cree minister delivering food for the natives was refused entry to the Mohawk compound.
Oh, Lord Jesus, we check that.
And so, exactly according to military orders, the plug was finally pulled on the press. Stephen Langford, CBC News, Oka.
Tony Ross is one of the reporters still in the Mohawk compound. Tony, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, Ben. How are you?
Okay, listen, I have a bit of news here for you. We just got a message from the military tonight, just a few minutes ago, indicating they've made a proposal to the Mohawk there via their hotline, which was set up a while ago. And it indicates they have proposed that the people in the perimeter there lay down their arms and place themselves under military control and custody, military protection as well. In the military custody area, all persons would be identified and then either released or detained under the authority of the Sûreté du Québec. Now, this doesn't sound too different from what was being said a while ago. I don't want to get you to second-guess anyone, but the people here want nothing to do with the SQ, do they?
No, as a matter of fact, I just spoke to somebody about this a couple of minutes ago. he said he doesn't know what the Confederacy chiefs would have to say about that, the people who have been negotiating in Ottawa. But as far he says, as far as people are concerned here, and this is Terry Dockstader, one of the main spokespeople and negotiators here, he says it's unacceptable as far as the men here are concerned.
Okay, so that's pretty well what the message indicates here, that this proposal was made to Mr. Dockstader, so that pretty well seals that.
And he says the men and the people here won't accept that.
Otherwise, just a few seconds left here, Tony. Things are quiet tonight?
Things are quiet, things are odd, things are a little different. There's another psychological game going on here tonight. The Mohawks have put a screen, a curtain sort of, between themselves and the military at the front of the barricade so the lights don't shine in, where they stole the mirror last night. It's more of this sort of psychological warfare going on.
Okay.
Mohawks in the Army.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Have a good night. Warriors and soldiers, of course, are face-to-face in a tiny area at Kanehsatà, but in the rest of the village, things are not back to normal. The natives say their community has been sliced up into sectors by the SQ. Paul Carvalho has more.
Checkpoints. There are several of them in Kanehsatà. Army checkpoints, police checkpoints, some run by both forces. Some natives get through without problems. Others don't want to take the chance, so they don't want to leave the community center. They sleep at the school next door, now a hotel of sorts. Deborah Etienne says the police have a blacklist of people they want. Nobody knows who's on the list, so she's not going home.
I'm afraid of this queue coming in and terrorizing me. And I'll be alone. I live on Center Road. I'm surrounded. I got a lot of bush around my house. Nobody would know what would happen to me.
Many have the same fears, so they wait and wait, not knowing when things will be back to normal.
People leaving to go back home, we say it's okay, but then when you cross the roadblock, they say you may not come back. Most of the people going through are willing to be processed by the police. That's fine, that's okay, but the hassles of telling people that they can't get to the food bank, there's just no reason for that at all.
If some people can't get to the food bank, natives say the bank should go to the people. But many here say they don't trust the Sûreté de Quebec.
Anytime that we negotiate with them, it gets changed the next day. They never follow their word. We've done it for food, and we've ended up having to wait out in the hot sun for 5 or 6 hours while they decide, or they check, or they decide to let us through or not. Their word is never good. Nobody in this community trusts them.
Simon says the Sûreté is playing games at the checkpoints to harass the natives. But sometimes the army stops people, and not just natives. These United Church ministers tried to cross that checkpoint when they heard a young native was in trouble on the other side. The army stopped them.
There's just so much terror in this community and so much anxiety about that. And when they won't even allow clergy to go in and just witness to see what's going on, it's frightening for them.
We watched that station wagon going through. Under the camera's eye, at least, there was no problem. But the distrust and the fear may remain here for a long time to come. A spokesman for the Quebec Police Force says natives are not being harassed. He says there's no blacklist either. Natives who've done no wrong are free to go back and forth. The others, he says, are not afraid of the police. They're afraid of the law. Paul Carvalho, CBC News, Oka.
The SQ says its troubles rest with the Anglo media these days. Details when Newswatch continues.
World travelers know that the airline makes a big difference, especially on long flights. Oh, thank you. You know, Canadian flies to 151 cities on 5 continents. They can take you practically anywhere. Let me give you a tip. I always set my watch to local time. Right now, it's noon in Tokyo. It's 4 a.m. in Frankfurt. It's midnight the day before in Rio.
What time is it?
Oh, my goodness. My watch stopped in Santiago.
Do you know what open-end mutual funds are?
The Wall Street Journal Guide to Understanding Money and Markets tells you in clear, simple English.
Do you know how to spot trends in stocks?
And what stock options are?
And zero coupon bonds?
And the difference between Treasury bills and Treasury notes?
Everything you want to know about the sometimes baffling world of money and investing is in this remarkable 120-page book. And now it's yours free when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal.
I need to know who's news and what's news in business quickly every day.
Today's Wall Street Journal, in 3 concise sections, saves you time yet gives you all the news you need every business day.
I need to know the latest trends in marketing.
And what my competitors are up to.
I need to know what's new in technology.
And how to run a small company.
And how it all affects me.
And I need to know today.
The information you need to compete, clear, concise, complete, in today's Wall Street Journal. Call now and you can have 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal and this valuable 120-page guide to understanding money and markets. That's 13 weeks of the journal for the news and ideas you need every business day. And this guide free, which tells you everything you want to know about money and markets. Now for only $71. Call toll-free 800-527-6700. Today's Wall Street Journal. Faster, tougher, smarter. Call 800-527-6700 now.
All right, we have that report for you. The SQ being taken to task by the Mohawk and others of late because of their record in dealing with the situation, the crisis situation, the Mohawk situation. Police force took a bit out on the Anglo media today. Joyce Napier with details.
The Sûreté du Québec feels it's been kicked around by the English press for its performance during the crisis. In a public statement issued today, the province's police force zeroes in on the Gazette. In its statement, the Sûreté du Québec says Mohawk, which has behaved this way towards the SQ since the discussions and failure of the Meech Lake Accord. It also says the Mohawks are running a smear campaign and issuing communiques riddled with lies. The Sûreté du Québec adds it can take criticism, but faced with dishonest and often politically motivated criticism, the SQ and its members are shocked and deeply disappointed. Scenes like this one in Saint-Louis-de-Gonzague may be molding public opinion about the SQ. But what is really getting to the force is the Gazette's coverage, its editorials, columns, and more specifically, this cartoon.
It was a tough shot, but I think it was a fair shot. The SQ has shown its incompetence throughout this operation from day one, and Haslam's cartoon, I think, reflected the fact that they're just not doing their job properly.
Columnist Jack Todd says it's true English reporters have been harder on the
tend to mistrust the police, whether they're in Toronto, Vancouver, New York, Detroit, or Quebec. They tend to mistrust politicians in general and to take a more adversarial relationship with them. I think it's part of our journalistic tradition.
The way in which Anglos related to this crisis is as if they were living in Toronto or Winnipeg. I don't want to accuse Anglos, but a kind of reaction when something is going wrong in Quebec, to say that it's the Quebec way of doing things, which is not their way of doing things. So you look at it and you criticize them.
Yesterday, Quebec Solicitor General said the media should be gentler with the Sûreté du Québec.
I think we all have a role to play, including yourselves, in making sure that, you know, we highlight those good things as well. You know, to continue to label the SQ is certainly, that doesn't do very much for the morale.
The Sûreté du Québec sent out its statement a little after 8 this morning. It has refused repeated requests for interviews, stating all it had to say on this issue is in the statement. Joyce Napier, CBC News, Montreal.
You've been watching a special broadcast from Montreal of today's developments in the Mohawk Crisis at Oka, Quebec. This program was originally aired an hour ago by CBC Montreal. Stay tuned to News World now for Business World, coming to you from Toronto after these messages.
I fly a lot, and most airlines give you a choice of wines. Now, usually it's airplane red or airplane white. Sometimes you can even drink this stuff. Canadian in business class. Now listen to today's wine list. Côte d'Ivoire, Riesling, Bordeaux, Zinfandel. Please. They must have a wine cellar downstairs. Where do you keep the luggage? You got a roof rack?
Mom looks so much happier now that she's got that walker.
We should have got her one 2 years ago.
Give the gift of freedom and independence. Order your Able Walker today.
Oh, by the way, I just got an Able Walker. It's just wonderful. I use it for a shopping cart.
Give the gift of freedom and independence to someone you love. Call and order your Able Walker. For thousands of people who just need the comfort of a little support, the Able Walker is the perfect solution. It's lightweight, folds down for easy transportation, and adjusts to suit your height. With Able Walker, you always have a place to carry things, as well as a place to sit and relax. To order your Able Walker or for the location of the dealer nearest you, call 1-800-663-1305. Able Walker comes with a no-risk money-back guarantee.
We should have got her one 2 years ago.
Saturday night is your chance to meet a whole bunch of actors, writers, and directors. I'm David Gilmour, and I'm hosting a new show on CBC News World. It's called Gilmour on the Arts. Please join us for the season premiere on Saturday, September the 15th on CBC News World.
The leaders in Manitoba worked together through the Meech Lake debate, but now they've put forward very distinct platforms. Up-to-the-minute results from the Manitoba election, Tuesday, September 11th on CBC News World.
Broadcast Division of the Southern Business Group. This is Business World with Susan Elliott and Ron Adams.
Good evening. On tonight's program, market watcher Dunnery Bess says there are still some good Canadian stocks left, even in these tough times.
And Canadian movie makers are hanging out their bottom lines tonight in Toronto. A successful run at the Festival of Festivals can mean the difference between a profit or a loss. But first, our top stories.
Crude oil prices surged above the $31 a barrel mark today. Investors reacted to news reports that Iraqi soldiers were shooting at Americans in Kuwait. Expectations that events there are again boiling to a head pushed the price of crude up $1.66 to $31.43 a barrel. It hasn't been that high in 2 weeks. Stock prices tumbled as oil prices surged. The Toronto 300 index shed 20 points, and the blue chips in New York fell 30 points. I'll have all the day's closing numbers later on the market report.
The bank rate is down again. The Bank of Canada's trend-setting rate fell 0.1% today. It's now 12.82%. It's the 11th straight week the rate has declined. But economists don't expect today's dip will bring a lower prime rate this week.
A key economic measure is down for the 5th month in a row. It's the composite leading indicator, a basket of 10 statistics ranging from stock prices to furniture sales. Statistics Canada says the index fell 0.3% in June. That's not as bad as May's 0.4% decline. June had higher manufacturing demand, but consumer spending remains in the doldrums. The largest declines were in components that relate to household demand.
Good performances by the Rolling Stones, Phil Collins, and the Toronto Blue Jays contributed to higher profits at John Labatt Limited for the latest quarter. The beer, food, and entertainment company says net income of $50 million was up 14% from a year ago. Sales rose 7% to $1.5 billion. But the core beer segment was less profitable. Labatt says the domestic beer market shrank by 2%. It blames cool, wet weather across the country. Labatt says its sponsorship of 2 successful rock tours helped the bottom line. Sid Olin, Labatt's president, told the annual meeting today the company will rationalize its food businesses next year. He didn't give any specifics. He says Labatt's objective is to concentrate on fewer, larger businesses and develop them internationally.
The color of Ontario margarine won't be yellow, and that has the Institute of Edible Oils seeing red. The Institute wanted to make margarine the same yellow color as butter, but that's against the law in Ontario. Today, the Ontario Supreme Court threw out an appeal by the Institute challenging that law. Margarine makers say the law is designed to protect butter producers and the dairy industry. They say the law restricts freedom of expression. The court dismissed the case without giving a reason. And shoppers in Toronto will be able to breakfast at Tiffany's next year. The venerable New York retailer says it will open its first Canadian store on Bloor Street.
North America's big 3 auto producers have had a rough year so far. The industry is dogged by poor sales. Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors are in contract negotiations with tough-talking unions. Strikes could erupt as early as September the 15th. And for the 2nd month in a row, last month, Honda outsold Chrysler to hold Canada's number 3 position. Business World producer Adam Corelli has been following the auto industry, and he joins me now. Adam, it seems that the auto industry has driven right into a ditch, to pardon the pun. How bad really is it?
Well, it's certainly not great. Sales for the big three are down 11% in August. They were down 6% for the imports. Chrysler in particular is down 17%. It's having a very hard time, and as you mentioned, it's fallen behind Honda. And then we have the prospect of a strike looming, which at this time, with poor sales and everything, is about the last thing the industry needs. So it doesn't look too good right now.
Well, how bleak do you foresee the industry, especially in North America?
Well, that's the short-term picture, but the view changes dramatically when you look at the long-term. In fact, all the bad news we're having right now, they say buy on bad news and sell on good. Well, there is a lot of bad news right now, but when you look at the long-term, there have been some fundamental restructurings in the North American industry, and I think we're really going to see a dividend come out of that within a year or two, especially at Ford and General Motors. GM spent up to $76 billion in the 1980s building plants with high-tech robots and everything in them, and Ford has developed some very successful cars that sell top in their class, and the quality of Ford and GM cars has picked up to the point now where most auto analysts agree that they compete very successfully with the imports.
So you're confident in predicting that there will be a turnaround?
Oh, definitely. It's very much a cyclical business, and that's what the industry is suffering right now, both the imports and the big three. The sales industry-wide in North America seem to be down at least 3 million a year from the early 80s. Those sales are going to have to be made up eventually. People still drive. The cost of driving a car now, in comparison to a decade ago, on a per capita basis, is actually less. So the economics haven't gone against the industry. So in a couple of years, we're going to see a very major rebound, I believe.
Well, what's the importance of the CAW picking Ford as its target company for the upcoming negotiations?
I think it's good for both of them. It's good for Ford because they get to set the trend of contracts, and that can only benefit them. For example, if they decide to give a lot to the CAW in pensions, and that sets the pattern for Chrysler, which has the most retired workers, it could become a negative for Chrysler. It's almost a strategic advantage. And the CAW doesn't want to take on GM because that's what the UAW is taking on, and they would end up, it would turn into a CAW versus United Auto Workers in the States type situation. So they don't want that either.
Adam Corelli, thank you very much.
Pleasure to be here.
On the markets today, oil prices surged again, and if you didn't happen to be an oil company or a gold mine, that was bad news. On the Toronto Stock Exchange, the TSE 300 Composite Index lost 20 points to close at 3312.8. Volume in Toronto fell to 21.8 million shares, and the total value of shares traded on the TSE was off to $207 million. The Toronto 35 Index lost 1 1/3 points to close at 180.74. Shares of Magna International responded to a new debt restructuring plan with a $0.50 gain, and Imperial Oil hopped 3/8 on higher crude prices. But most of the leading stocks ended down, as you'll see when we review Toronto's top 10 and then move on to New York. In New York, traders were blaming the higher crude price and a general uneasiness about the Mideast situation for a 32-point drop in the Dow Jones average. The Dow settled at 2596.25 in slow trading of 126 million shares. In Montreal, the market portfolio index lost a dozen points to close at 1731.6. Volume on the ME was just 3.7 million shares. And in Vancouver, the VSE Composite Index closed up a single point at 691.85. Volume was a so-so 19 million shares. Overseas, Tokyo prices were off again, but the bleeding at least slowed a little. The Nikkei index of 225 stocks closed down 266.5 points at 23,811. Volume was off slightly at 380 million shares. And in London, volume picked up sharply, but most of the increase was due to a single placement. The Financial Times index of 100 stocks was down 31 1/3 points at the close at 2120.9. Turnover reached 515 million shares. Now, more world markets, and then we'll check some fixed income rates. Canadian bond prices ticked up a little today. At the long end of the market, the 20-year Canada yielded 10.68%. That's down 2 basis points from yesterday. The 3-month Treasury bill fell to 12.57%, and that, by the way, cut the spread between the Canadian and U.S. 3-month bill to under 5%, 496 basis points to be exact. The price of gold leapt another $3.25 in tandem with the higher oil price. An ounce of gold sold for $390.25 in New York. No late spot price for silver was reported, but the near-month future in New York rose 3.5 cents to $4.77 an ounce. One New York oil trader described today's market as legalized gambling, and most of the bets were on crude oil. A barrel of crude sold for $31.43 U.S. That's up $1.66 on the day. Now, more closing commodity prices, and then the dollar. The Canadian dollar fell back about 1/4 cent. Dollar was quoted at 86.49 U.S. cents. Sterling rose about 2 cents to $2.21.818 Canadian. The Deutschmark was up 1/2 cent at 74 1/3 cents. And the yen continues to strengthen, moving today to 121.8 to the Canadian dollar. And that's how the markets closed.
And when we come back, Dunnery Best will join us.
How's your new diet coming?
Oh, I lost 1/8 of a pound last week.
Yeah, right. I think I'll start with that cream puff light. Very light, yeah. And could you just leave the tray? Good idea.
This year, CBC News World provided live coverage of a deposed leader under siege. The powerful testimony that chronicled sexual abuse against children.
Many times.
And the crumbling of a wall in Berlin that had separated the world. If you missed our first year, join us for the second. Watch it happen, hour by hour, minute by minute, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. CBC News World. Join the world in progress.
Canada. Canada hot. Canada cold. Weather. Or not. Wood needs protection. To clean, brighten, and restore old wood, Dexwood does the job every time. To seal and protect your restored deck, CWF Clear Wood Finish does the job every time. The perfect pair of products to clean and protect wood. Dexwood and CWF, from the people who know wood finishing best, the Flood Company. For the name of your nearest dealer, call toll-free.
Grasping the bird's tail, right?
You know Tai Chi?
Oh, yeah, I watch it on cable. People out in the park in Hong Kong, it's just a fascinating scene. Ah, Hand strums the lute.
Very good.
Yeah, I love Hong Kong. It's just the most gorgeous city, and it's... Oh, hello.
Hmm?
Passenger sips the coffee.
Pardon?
I breathe Tai Chi.
Welcome back. Dunnery Best, the Director of Research at First City Trust, has joined us now. Welcome, Dunnery.
Thank you.
We were talking yesterday in the market segment with Fred Ketchen, the old TSE hand, who I'm sure you know, about the fact that there are, even in a market that's been as crazy as this one's been the last little while, some real values out there for the investor who's thinking of getting back into the market. I thought today we might talk about some companies, some shares. What would be on your list if you were beginning to think about moving in?
Yeah, I think it's probably time to start thinking about moving in. Mind you, I'm just by nature a bull on Canadians' prospects, Canada's prospects in the world, and the fact that the stock markets, particularly in the last couple of years, have really paid second fiddle to the fixed income markets and to the money markets. And when you can go into the money market and get 13.5% or 13% on a GIC, which you can guarantee yourself that return, it's pretty hard to say, well, I should step into the stock markets where I can get maybe 20 or 25%, but there's risk. But we're getting to the point now...
You could also get 2%, right?
That's right, or you could get a negative return, in which case you've got a nice tax loss. But,
right.
Now you're getting to the situation where interest rates are going down. The markets have been beaten up very dramatically for a number of reasons, the most recent of which is Kuwait, which has benefited some Canadian stocks, some elements of the Canadian markets, and which Canadian markets haven't done as badly as some, but nevertheless has been a real drag on markets. There's a tremendous amount of indecisiveness out there. Anyway, all this said, the markets represent some tremendous value now, and I mentioned a couple of names. Look at the banks, for example, the Royal Bank, the Bank of Montreal, the Commerce, the Bank of Nova Scotia. But look at the Royal Bank. This is one of the best banks in the world. It's extremely high credit. I mean, the quality of the credit is extremely good. The earnings are very strong. It's going to make at least $3 this year, and I'm talking about a general consensus of the street opinions. You can buy the stock for under 7 times earnings. It's paying a 5.5% yield.
But if
this
recession,
is a very cheap stock.
If recession, though, sets in and bites, aren't the banks going to be hit a bit more by loan losses, and particularly in the real estate side?
Yeah, they've got some exposure to real estate, there's no question. But the Royal Bank is an enormous bank. It's highly diversified. It's taking provisions for loans already that it doesn't consider to be particularly good credit, and its earnings are very solid.
So it hasn't been hit as hard as, say, Scotiabank, who had very high loan losses.
Scotiabank participates in a different segment of the market. It likes to make loans that are what some people would consider to be a little more speculative. I mean, that's the reputation it has. Scotiabank itself represents good value because it's been tremendously battered by the markets. Bank of Montreal, again, it's a bank that's going through a transition since Mulholland left. It's yielding over 8% right now. These are very attractive from just a yield standpoint, and as soon as interest rates comes down, on the basis of that high yield, the stocks will appreciate. But let's mention a couple of other names.
Yeah, right.
Like some
beyond the banks. What other
banks? I think that, by the way, I think the banks as a whole are very attractive now. They're not going to go a lot below where they are because of that yield support. Okay, another couple of names like Canadian Pacific. I've mentioned it before. It's a stock you can pick it up at $19 now and sell it maybe in 6 months for $25. Something's happening out there. The grain crop this year should be tremendous. Now, even if grain prices aren't that good for farmers, the fact is, for them to get that grain to market, they're going to have to use the railway. And
there'll be a lot of hopper cars running back and forth in those CP lines.
This is the second largest crop in the history of Canada. Now, CP owns a lot of other things, like the hotels, which are tremendously successful. The forest products operations are not doing that well, but on the other hand, that can turn. CP is very attractive now. It's trading about a 35% discount to its net asset value. Look at the airlines. The airlines have just...
What about airlines? I guess Air Canada or...
They've been creamed.
Yeah.
PWA is trading for about half of what it was trading for a year ago this time. PWA has gone through some tremendously difficult times as it's reorganized itself from the purchase of Ward Air and Canadian Airlines. But it's now opening up the third terminal at Toronto, which is going to give it a great jump on its competition because suddenly it'll have a comfortable, very well-designed modern facility.
Well, how's the value for Air Canada? I mean, it's been 2 years now almost. The anniversary date's coming up. How's that stock been doing?
Well, that's right. Since the government of Canada decided to privatize Air Canada, it's trading for about the same price as it did when the government of Canada privatized it. It has run up from the $8 range up to 14 and change. It's back down to the $8 range now. It's trading at about half of its book value as of the end of the year when it sells, if it does sell off its holding in GPA, the big leasing company. I mean, you can go on like this. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the markets are going to turn up tomorrow, but they're good value now. There's a lot of good, solid, fundamental value. The markets could cycle down a bit, but then they're going to go up, and now's a good time.
As a rule of thumb, is there a particular ratio that you're looking at when you're looking for value in a company at this time?
There's two fundamental ones, and these are ones you can always check. One is, where does a stock trade relative to its book value, or alternatively to its net asset value? That is, how much is the stock worth if you break it up, and that's when you look at a Magna, you've got to look at what are the actual factories worth net of debt. Book value is an important indicator. If you can buy a company for less than its book value, the chances are that sooner or later it's going to go up above its book value. That's the way the market normally trades for a premium to book, particularly in Canada. The other one is price to earnings. So there's a lot of companies now that are trading at a lower price to earnings multiple than they would, say, a year and a half ago. So if you can buy a company that's trading at, say, 9 times its earnings, or 8 times its earnings, or 7 times its earnings, as
and you look at what it has historically traded at, tended to average in terms of PE over...
Yeah, you can. And typically, Canada, over the market as a whole, over the years would trade at, say, 14 times its earnings. So when you're buying companies at below 10, you know that sooner or later, all things being equal, the stock will go up back to that old sort of average PE.
And always allowing for the fact that you're not buying this for a gain tomorrow morning, but for somewhere down the road, the chances are pretty good that it will get back into that higher range at some point.
I can guarantee you one thing. All those companies I mentioned today, every last one of them will be here 10 years from now.
I'm writing this all down, Dunnery, and we'll check you up on that later.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
You snuck up on me. You know, when you travel as much as I do, you'll learn to recognize a good airline when you see one. Canadian is one terrific airline. Oh, that's lovely. I know what you're thinking. They paid him to say that. Well, I'll tell you a little secret. These people are commercial for nothing. No, I would not. But they're nice.
Canadian, wake up. Hey, Canada, wake up. Today is our McCain Day.
What's the secret of McCain's rich-tasting juice? More oranges. McCain concentrates the juice of more oranges into every can. More than Minute Maid, more than Old South. So you have a special reason to buy McCain.
You bet I do.
It's like an extra squeeze of juice in every glass. So compared to Minute Maid and Old South, you have an extra reason to drink McCain.
You bet I do.
Wake up to McCain.
This car has the lowest price in its class, so it's not an Accord. It has the most powerful standard engine in its class, so it's not a 626. Its equipment leaves nothing to...
Le 1er septembre, notre équipe survolait le pont Mercier que les militaires s'apprêtaient à rouvrir à la circulation parce qu'on l'avait inspecté de fond en comble à ce moment-là. Et ces images nous montrent bel et bien un avion qui quittait la région de Kanehsatà. Ça, c'est sur la rive sud de Montréal. Et depuis ce temps-là, le pont Mercier est rouvert à la circulation automobile. C'était une première journée qui a été extrêmement bien, dit-on. Il y a eu des incidents violents au cours de la nuit dernière, alors que des automobilistes blancs ont vu leur pare-brise éclater des roches qui auraient été lancées ou des projectiles qui auraient été lancés par des résidents de la réserve de Kanehsatà, parce qu'on sait que lorsqu'on quitte le pont Mercier en direction de la rive sud, on doit absolument circuler dans la réserve de Kanehsatà ou par la route 132 ou encore par la route 138. Et ces événements au cours de la nuit dernière laissent présager sans aucun doute encore qu'il prendra plusieurs semaines, voire même, comme le ministre Claude Ryan l'a déjà dit de son côté, plusieurs années avant qu'une paix se rétablisse, soit complètement rétablie entre les Mohawks de la réserve de Kanehsatà et les Blancs qui doivent continuer de cohabiter. On a vu de la hargne également de la part de certains citoyens de la rive sud qui disent, qui prétendent en tout cas qu'ils ne feront plus de faveur à ces Mohawks-là. Mais tout ça, c'est le temps qui guérira bien ces plaies-là. Mais là, on doit se rappeler aussi ces bousculades au sein même des Warriors, parce que la bousculade qui s'est poursuivie, vous voyez, on le voit, c'est la zague qui pousse un militaire. Ça, c'est hier, ça s'est produit hier matin. Et certaines sources militaires avaient dit, alors, si les journalistes avaient été exclus complètement du périmètre, les militaires auraient pu à ce moment-là procéder à l'arrestation de la zague, qui est une des têtes fortes du côté des Warriors. La zague, dont l'identité a été révélée au cours des dernières heures, est originaire de Kanehsatà. Là, on s'en va maintenant, je pense, au bureau du premier ministre Bourassa, à l'édifice d'Hydro-Québec. On écoute M. Bourassa.
question. J'ai pensé faire le point cet après-midi, étant donné qu'il y a eu en sorte qu'on puisse réouvrir le pont Mercier. Ça a été fait, s'exprime par une volonté d'action immédiate, municipale, de la Sûreté du Québec, une déclaration adressée aux autorités politiques blanches. Le gouvernement s'était forcé d'éviter cet affront. La question d'Oka. Comme vous savez, en vertu de la loi de la défense nationale, l'armée-major, le général de Chastelain, ou mes collaborateurs, le général Leroy et le général tenir compte, il ne fallait pas oublier, il fallait tenir compte, il va sans dire, des rites de warriors qui se réfugient, qui sont encerclés par l'armée canadienne. Encore là, tout cela s'est fait de façon pacifique. Et que dans plusieurs cas, dans cette vingtaine de warriors, c'est sérieuse aux criminels. Alors je pense que tout le monde a intérêt. Ceux qui, le gouvernement du Québec, pour négocier, pour arriver à une entente, le gouvernement fédéral lui-même a nommé le juge Gaulle. J'ai été choqué, profondément choqué, comme l'ensemble des Québécois, quand j'ai vu cette scène à la télévision. Situation sans précédent. C'est sans précédent que nous devions faire face, comme ça, en Amérique du Nord, à une organisation, à des dizaines et des dizaines de personnes armées. Et nous essayons, mais on sait fort bien, choses qu'il ne faut pas oublier, qui sont connues. On sait, par exemple, que l'une des raisons pourquoi il y a cette accumulation, la législation est plus permissive aux États-Unis qu'au Canada, sur le territoire américain, qu'en même temps également sur le territoire canadien. Une crise comme celle-là exigeait de la part du gouvernement pouvoir amorcer véritablement les Québécois. Les Autochtones ont des revendications légitimes et nous sommes prêts à poursuivre cet effort de réconciliation. Mais nous voulons le faire en respectant les principes de la région d'Oka, de garder l'armée disponible.
D'accepter de déposer leurs armes, donc refuse la proposition de l'armée. Alors quelle sera la prochaine étape et quels sont les autres moyens dont dispose l'armée pour les forcer à le faire?
Nous discutons différentes options. Autochtones de ne pas encourager ceux qui sont, dans certains cas, s'ils la refusent, nous considérons actuellement d'autres options. Mais nous prudence, évidemment, de la fermeté également dont le gouvernement a fait preuve. De ce qu'on apprenait, d'un côté, nous accuser de laisser accumuler les septembre 90. Il y a des négociations de municipalité qui n'ont pas de police municipale. C'est pour informer ceux qui portent des jugements parfois un peu précipités. Au Québec, il y a des municipalités, c'est la Sûreté du Québec. Et quand la municipalité par la police pour protéger ces gens-là, je veux dire, il faut 29. Quand on est en septembre, on aurait pu parler de négligence si le gouvernement s'était fédéral. Est-ce qu'effectivement, le gouvernement ne s'est pas traîné les pieds après que M. Savoie ait prévenu le gouvernement et qu'on est à la suite? Faut pas oublier que si vous réglez un golf, il peut y en avoir d'autres qui suivent. D'ailleurs, on a 88.
On a vu des armes de guerre sur le pont à ce moment-là. Vous et vos ministres ont dit que des mesures énergiques seraient prises, que personne n'était au-dessus de la loi. Alors, je pense que personne n'a été pris. Quand ils le voudront, ce qu'ils ont fait cette année, ce qu'ils ont fait en 88.
Monsieur Lester, j'ai dit tantôt que j'avais demandé à l'armée canadienne, étant donné qu'il s'agit d'une situation basse, c'est ces beaux esprits qui nous font des recommandations, il faudrait qu'ils visitent les résidences saccagées d'Oka, obligés d'être prudents. Il y a une autre situation, c'est que la législation américaine est différente de la législation canadienne. Elle est plus permissive. Or, vous avez une réserve à Akwesasne qui comprend un territoire américain. Et vous avez entre la partie canadienne ou la partie québécoise ou la partie ontarienne et les réserves québécoises ou les réserves ontariennes, vous avez quand même une mobilité de transport, une question comme ça. Et intervient aussitôt qu'il a des indications. L'assurance qu'on m'a donnée, c'est que l'accumulation des armes, et ça c'est de juridiction partagée, mais il ne faut pas oublier jamais que dans un contexte comme celui, véritablement à cause de toutes sortes de facteurs historiques, de problèmes de juridiction, de statuts spéciaux pour les réserves. Par exemple, dans le Grand Nord québécois, ça fonctionne bien. La Sûreté du Québec est en train de former une police autochtone, de manière à ce que ce soit des Autochtones qui assurent. Oui, Madame Levasseur.
Une dernière question. Vous dites, et là je vous comprends pas très bien, vous dites je suis pour un règlement pacifique de...
Pas poursuivre les négociations. M. Tchatcha m'a appelé pour mettre fin aux négociations. Il voulait que ce soit moi qui fasse l'annonce. Et j'ai fait l'annonce de mettre fin aux négociations. C'est évident que M. Tchatcha, comme je vous ai dit, a fait des efforts considérables pour garder les ponts ouverts avec les Autochtones. Il s'est même rendu derrière les bâtons. C'est pas facile de négocier avec des interlocuteurs qui changent constamment. On le sait, je veux dire, je ne veux pas faire aucune critique négative, mais ceux avec qui on avait rompu les négociations, M. Deshommes notamment, et ils ont dit, ça marche pas, cette entente-là. Alors, l'entente qui existait là, et puis n'existait plus. Et les gens sont partis pour New York, la Confédération des Iroquois.
J'attendais M. Bourassa pour reprendre les négociations.
Alors, écoutez, il ne faut pas oublier dans tout cela que le contenu de la négociation qui intéressait le Québec, je vous dis, je suis obligé de vous donner les faits nouveaux, le démantèlement des barricades, c'est lié à la réconciliation, on est prêt à examiner différents minérales. Nous sommes prêts à négocier, mais comme le gouvernement fédéral l'a dit, nous sommes quand les armes, il y aura reddition des armes. Il y a eu des discussions exploratoires, ça a permis... Quand même, souvenez-vous des semaines de M. Patterson, puis Bernard Roy, puis John Tchatchia, puis le juge Gould. Le dernier reproche que je vais accepter des leaders autochtones, c'est de ne pas faire des efforts. C'est que le gouvernement du Québec est prêt à négocier dans la mesure de ses juridictions. Il l'a démontré, il a signé des ententes, mais que ça va sérieusement. Le lien, et comment peut-on lier légitimement des négociations avec des gens qui possèdent des armes? Alors je pense qu'il faut distinguer, on l'a toujours fait, formelle, nous pourrons véritablement exister que quand la situation d'Oka sera. Toute la démagogie qui se fait sur ces avions, je pense qu'elle devrait au moins attendre la conclusion de l'enquête de l'armée transport de contrôle aérien. À la Sûreté du Québec, qui était la police de la ville. Faut pas oublier, je viens de vous répondre là-dessus. Il ne faut pas oublier que la police de la ville, c'était la Sûreté du Québec, puis la ville demande à sa police d'intervenir. Le gouvernement du Québec n'était pas impliqué.
Toute votre confiance, M. Bourassa.
Écoutez, M. Chevrette, que peut-être pas le plus sérieux. Oui, M. Chemin.
Soit que l'armée effectue une enquête sur les vols du 28 août dernier. Est-ce que c'est pas un peu inexplicable de constater qu'il y en a eu d'autres après maintenant? Les autorités en place, soit gouvernementales ou militaires ou policières, le savaient.
Mais il peut y avoir toutes sortes de raisons. Ça ne serait pas la première fois que la conclusion de cette enquête et nous pourrons aviser par la suite.
Enquête publique sur le rôle de la Sûreté.
Le principe de connaître tous les faits. Il y a toutes sortes d'accusations qui ont été faites contre la Sûreté du Québec. En faux. D'ailleurs, il y a un code de déontologie qui existe depuis le Premier national ou en commission parlementaire. Il y a toutes sortes de possibilités pour éclairer la population.
Le Québec devrait avoir une
armée avec des M50. C'est vous le spécialiste qui peut définir la force d'un M50. Comme on a vu à la télévision l'autre fois. Alors, quand vous avez affaire à la on verra les mesures qui doivent être prises, mais je dois dire que la loi de la défense nationale permet au gouvernement du Québec de faire intervenir l'armée sous son commandement. Oui. Alors, pas d'autre. À cet égard-là. Mais le problème a été compliqué par le fait que les interlocuteurs changeaient constamment. Mais ceci étant dit, quand on aura réglé l'aspect des affrontements, le gouvernement du Québec a fait ses preuves et je puis assurer les leaders autochtones qu'on va faire tous les efforts pour s'entendre comme on l'a fait à plusieurs reprises. Dernière question. Dernière question, puis des questions. Oui.
Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de l'envolée politique de M. Lavigne?
Ben, je veux dire, je crois qu'il y a deux partis dans deux qui accusent sans fondement la Sûreté du Québec. Je comprends tout à fait le point de vue de M. Lavigne ou de la Sûreté du Québec à cet égard-là. D'ailleurs, j'ai parlé à M. Lavigne ce matin à propos de ce communiqué. Il y a les questions politiques. Je disais à M. et encore moins les caricaturistes.
Premier, can I just ask,
Wait.
please? No,
Wait.
please.
Yes, Karen.
Sir, you made a plea to accept this latest deal, that they surrender to the Army and that they go into Army hold.
I don't think they should support those people who are under which was made by the Canadian Army. I discussed that offer with the Chief of Staff, General de Chastelet. I think we are trying to do the maximum to avoid armed confrontation. This was shown. It's a very difficult situation. We were able, after 16, they should see what was done in some residences. They should realize mobilized at 100,000 people in the normal way because of what was happening. So what I'm saying, I'm asking the leaders to give their support to the offer of the Canadian Army. So we should have a pacific end, and we could work for reconciliation situation without bloodshed if we accept with great belief and democracy in this country.
Le Premier ministre Bourassa qui répète en anglais en quelque sorte a fait aux dirigeants, aux chefs autochtones à l'effet de ne pas supporter le groupe de warriors, la vingtaine de warriors qui est présentement retranché dans ce périmètre, on l'a vu, de 800 mètres par 300 mètres à Oka Crisis, qui est un Canadian diplomat.
An operator right now.
The tense standoff at Oka, Quebec erupted in violence today.
Still unclear whether the injured man will face charges as he remains in the Army's protective custody. Kanehsatà, CTV News, Oka.
Mohawk leaders made a new proposal to end the standoff at official residence, addressed to Brian Mulrooney and his children.
Him to bring the foot soldiers to go home.
It's the same demand coming from dozens of Indian chiefs meeting in Montreal. They released details of a proposal designed to end the crisis without bloodshed.
This offer that is being put on the table is a very unique opportunity for Canada and Quebec to come out smelling good, because they stink right now as it stands.
The offer calls for all men, women, and children now in the treatment center to come under protection of the Six Nation Iroquois Confederacy. All weapons would be surrendered to that confederacy. The Quebec police force at Kanehsatà would be replaced by a native peacekeeping force, and alleged crimes would be investigated and prosecuted by the Indian Confederacy. Indian Affairs Minister Tom Sidden rejected the offer categorically.
The proposals as presently presented are not acceptable because they clearly would establish a separate system of policing, a separate justice system, would in a tacit way, in fact, if accepted, recognize sovereignty for the Mohawk people outside of the jurisdiction of Canadian law.
Chief Bob Anton says the proposal isn't tied to discussion of Mohawk sovereignty.
All of those issues around sovereignty over land or jurisdiction, all of those are left to the political table for discussion.
As they prepare for a peace march in Oka, some native leaders appealed for calm.
Each one of you are responsible for the lives of those people at Kanehsatà. Each one of you are responsible for a peaceful resolvement. There is no need for death at this time.
And the French Canadians are now in league with the Israelis who attack children and the South Africans who attack all black people.
Indian leaders will gather in Oka tomorrow in what is expected to be a major peace march. But their formula for peace, surrender to a native peacekeeping force only.
Sealed off the Pagan Indian Reserve, questioning all who tried to enter or leave. By daybreak, the skies over Pagan were patrolled by a police SWAT team. On the ground, as many as 100 officers gathered. High-powered weapons were brought in. There was a real fear of bloodshed. Police said they would leave only after arresting the head of the Lone Fighter Society, Milton Bourne with a Tooth.
That's the arrest.
But while admitting he had fired shots at the police a day earlier, Bourne with a Tooth refused to surrender. Both he and his supporters saying the RCMP were trespassing on Indian land.
You have to protect his land. You have to protect his sovereign domain. And you're going to keep hearing that from me and from anybody else.
The police continued throughout the day. The Pagan Indians took their claims of jurisdiction over this land and the Old Man River to a court in Calgary. On the Pagan Reserve, while each side cautiously eyed the other to stop the police from taking any further action. As the RCMP left the reserve, the lone fighters claimed victory.
This is what it's all about. All we are is protecting what's in our backyard. We are not asking for anything more or anything less, just to live in peace.
And Pagan Indians say they will remain on guard by the Old Man River in case the RCMP returns.